Welcome to the latest Heritage Cast of the Red Robin podcast, another live stream on our YouTube page with me, Joe Pliard, Chris Johnson and special guests joining us today is French international and current Halifax player and of course former Robin, Kevin Larroyer. Kev, how are you doing, mate?
I'm really good, thank you. Really happy to be with you tonight, talking about my time at KR and all the things well, but not really happy to be here.
Yeah, we've got loads to speak about, haven't we, Chris? And we really enjoyed it. We had James Green, obviously former teammate of yours, Kev, last week. It's really good doing these live streams, Chris, isn't it? And we're hoping we get more viewers, we get more questions asked, because the point of the YouTube page is to get a bit more interactive in it with the players and with me and you as well, mate.
Yeah, people can ask questions and put comments, and we can put them to Kev live, you know, as we're talking. So it gives fans a chance to be interactive with us, and for those people who are obviously listening on the podcast now, get on board with a YouTube stream if you get a chance, because it's a really interactive tool, and we're really pleased to be able to bring it. So, we're getting better at each one that we do, and like you said, the James Green one was fantastic. And I'm sure speaking to Kevin, listening to his story about his time at Rovers and, going on into other clubs will be really interesting.
It will. So why don't we take it back, as we always do, Kev, to the start of your career. Growing up in France, what was your first recognition of rugby league? When did you start playing it? Was it in schools? When was the moment you thought, you know what, I'm going to give this sport a go and I might make a living out of this?
So for like most of the little boys, because of my dad, I was 6 years old when I started playing rugby back in Toulouse Olympique. And obviously, I was quite a hyperactive child, and my parents was looking for a sport to try to monitor my energy. And my dad is a big rugby union and rugby league fan, so he took me to a training. I tried different sports before, like judo, football, but it wasn't really for me. And as soon as the first training I did the rugby league club, I just loved it, and since I never left.
Yeah, there's a lot of sport in Toulouse, isn't there? You've got obviously the football, rugby union. How prominent was rugby league back then in Toulouse?
To be honest with you, not really popular. More popular in the neighborhood I was playing. Despite the team was quite successful, the professional team in the French domestic championship. But otherwise, it was quite minor, because you have to compete with a big team, rugby union, Stade Toulouse, who are like the equivalent of, Man United in football. They are absolutely huge in Toulouse. So it's quite difficult to come with a lot of history and heritage. So it was quite difficult to compete against him. And now going forward, Toulouse are on a partnership with Stade Toulousain, which allowed them to grow as a club. But yeah, back in the day, there were not really rugby league in school. You were playing just in the area where you had the club, otherwise it was quite unknown. To be honest with you, rugby league in France, I think the mentality are changing, but it's always been seen as a very, very violent sport. That's because back in the history when, obviously, when Jean Galliard took it from England and the sport played, and after we were patent has been stopped, we were not allowed to play rugby anymore, so he took in the south of France, which was really successful. But after the stem, it's been people were not allowed to play the game anymore. And after in the 80s, when finally media started to put some light on the game, they broadcast the final, and I think after 10 minutes, the game has been stopped. So from that, it was really hard for rugby in France to grow. But now I think it's going in the right direction.
So how did you, obviously, because we know what it's like in the British game, you go through the pathways. We've got probably more amateur clubs, especially, in the Hull area, you'll know from your time over here, living and playing. What's the situation? Do you leave straight after school? Do you still have to do education? What was your step up from education into the Toulouse setup, mate?
Well, for example, when I was in primary school, in France, the sport day is the Wednesday afternoon, so you don't have school. You only have school every other week, but just in the morning. And otherwise, the Wednesday afternoon is dedicated to take part in participate in sport. So this is when I had training. That was from the age of 6 to the age of 16. So I was every Wednesday, and you play tournament on the weekend. But otherwise, when I was 17, Toulouse Olympique, because they always had the dream to go to Super League, and because before it was licensed, they had to build the case to be able to access to Super League. And one of the criteria was to have an academy. So they created their own academy. So at the age of 18, integrated this academy, and alongside I was studying a joinery qualification, which I had, but I had done nothing with it. And after from that, when I finished and went with the French team, the academy French team, we went to Australia, and from there I signed my first professional contract when I was 19.
Well, was that always your ambition, Kev, to sign a professional contract? Once you started playing as a youngster, did you have sort of dreams of playing Super League and representing France, or was you just playing sort of each game at a time, just hoping to be the best you could be?
To be honest with you, I never thought I would go play in England. I never thought I would be a professional. All I wanted is to play for Toulouse, and I played each category. So the earliest you can start it was 6, which I did, and I played until I was 23. And to be honest with you, I thought I would play in Toulouse forever. It was my dream because I'm originally from the neighborhood. I thought I would stay there forever. I was quite really short-minded just there in Toulouse. And I'm quite proud of it because I've played in each category of the club. I think still today there's no player who's done that. And obviously after when I signed my first professional contract, Toulouse were in championship. It was their second season. Then we played 2 years. Then after we went back in the French championship. And obviously when you start experiencing playing at the level, at championship level, you want to stay in that level and test yourself. And I had the opportunity to go and play for Catalan, which came as a surprise because more I was growing up and I dreamed one day to play in not necessarily in Super League, but in England for an English team. Because in France, we used to watch that, for example, at the club, they were broadcasting Sky Sports, so we could watch on the Thursday and Friday, watch the games. And I remember watching FC and Caen, and I was like, God, I wish I could play in a game like that one day. But for me, as being a Frenchman, it felt like it was inaccessible, if that makes sense, because there were a limited amount of French players playing in England.
Yeah, before we speak about obviously breaking through into the first team at Toulouse and you moved to Catalan and etc., you mentioned the tour of Australia there. What was that like? Because obviously you mentioned rugby league's not huge in French. Who did you travel over with? Is there any players who were playing in Super League now or playing with you? Who did you end up playing? What was that experience like for a young Frenchman going over to the equivalent of a French football team coming over and playing in England where it's the main sport? Rugby league is the biggest and best sport in Australia, and it's worldwide that it's the most popular sport in that country. What was that like for you and the lads going over there? Because it must have been a weird but wonderful experience, Kev.
Oh, it was massive. Honestly, I was a fan of rugby league, but it's like you feel, I don't know if it's like now here, you're a fan of cricket in France, you feel lonely. So in France, if you're a fan of rugby league, you feel lonely. But you go in Australia, it's massive. It's like football. It's just, I remember it was the time when Sonny Bill Williams signed for Toulon, Rugby Union, the French team. There were a flash special in the news about him coming out on the helicopter, going to the Tesco and stuff like that. It was absolutely, and I was like, God, this is absolutely amazing. And to respond to your question, in the squad that played in Super League now, they had Tony Gigot, Edouard Pellissier, William Bart who played as well. I can't remember the other ones. You had quite a few who played, but I think Tony Gigot, Edouard Pellissier are the one who really had a career. But for me, it was a game changer because obviously I always dreamed to play for my country, and being able, even if it was like an academy level, playing for my country in Australia, it was absolutely amazing. And by the way, when we play Australia, we played against Albert Kelly.
All right.
Was younger than all of us, but he absolutely butchered all of us. Honestly, I remember it was the little one, so we're like, okay, we're going to try and spot him. And I remember our prop kick off, went on him, put him a shoulder around on his bum. Then maybe 5-10 minutes later, we go penalty, kick in touch, the prop again, go back on him, and same again. And after we had to change the game plan, but that's how I remember him. He was the best in defense, honestly.
Wow.
And after when I came back, this is because I had quite a good tour. And when I came back, that's when they offered me a contract, basically. And from that, my progression, I've gone really, really quickly.
What was it like, Kev, obviously, when you was playing the Toulouse team and you was coming over to this country? What kind of experience was that? Because it must have been a lot of travelling for you, and especially being a young lad, it must have been quite a daunting experience.
It was quite intimidating at first, I must say, because I was 19, and I remember the first time I've been called to be 18. It wasn't planned, but I had been an injury, so they called me, and we had to travel to Barrow. So on the Thursday night, and I was obviously 18, but just warming up. Honestly, it was like going into another world. Like
I was going to say,
I don't think you can warm up in Barrow, Chris.
You've gone, Kev, from you've been in Toulouse, close south of France, on a Thursday night in, you couldn't get probably too further apart, could you?
Oh, honestly, and I was like, I remember, so only 19 and coming out to warm up, and I couldn't understand the word. I couldn't speak English, but I knew he wasn't friendly. I could see people like they pint of beer, they were posting like that, like shouting us, and I was like, God. But in a way, it was motivating as well, and I was like, God, that's really big. That's the kind of atmosphere you want to play at, and it was tough because so for example, if we're playing on a Sunday most of the time. So we would travel from the Friday night, get on the Saturday, because depending where we were playing, we were always based in Manchester, Worsley, and we'd have to travel to the city we'd have to play. So it was quite tiring, and you'll be back either Sunday night very late or the Monday morning very early. So that was quite tiring, but otherwise really good experience. My first game on the bench was against Keighley. So that was another like really impressive experience. I remember the changing room, we couldn't fit all of us, so I had to get changed outside in mid-February. It was absolutely freezing. Again, like I remember the atmosphere, like the fan really close to you, and you can tell the difference in terms of fandom in England and in France. I think in France we are more spectator. In England you are fans, and I really like experiencing Barrow. Then after experiencing Keighley, I was like, yeah, this is where I want to be. This is the type of game or competition I want to play.
I think when we spoke to James Green last week, mate, because you was both forwards, and at the moment going into 2022, Hull KR have got a lot of young forwards. We've actually announced last week Tom Ware is going to Rochdale on loan. In your experience as a young forward, developing in the game, going to Barrow, Whitehaven, Dewsbury, Keighley, playing against these blokes who do 6-6 on a building site and then want to knock 10 bells out, did you think that made you the player you was, because you thought, if I can match it with this, I can match it with anyone? Because we've spoke to people who say Super League's obviously the pinnacle, the skills up there, but for physicality, people have said the Championship's harder because it's a little bit more lenient with the referees as well. Did you find that the physicality and toughness of the Championship?
Oh, definitely. I always say, and especially the younger players, and especially back in France, if I didn't play in Super League, in Championship, I would have never played in Super League. For me, it was just the right transition. So I'll give you an example. Obviously, in this tour, you had players like, for example, Mathias Parra, who also plays Super League. You had William Barthaud. You had lots of players to play for Catalan. And so they were all in the Super League squad. And me, when I started, I was behind them. But these 2 seasons I had in Super League, like you said, playing, it was really physical. I remember like the first career at Keighley, oh my God, I felt like I'd be folded into a suitcase. It was something else. And you were playing against players like back of the end of the career, we're coming from Super League to Championship. And this league is a physical battle more than anything. And after when I play Super League, and I can tell is not as physical, but it's more technical in Super League, even in the way of defending, putting on your back and stuff like that in the wrestle. And obviously, it's a lot about having decision making have to be really quick. You have to like adapt very quick, and there's a lot of stop and start. Like Super League, it's an arm wrestle. When in Championship, it's a physical battle. But when you're 19-year-old, you're still in development, so you need to get this toughness. And I would say, playing in Championship made me tougher and made me love defend and being aggressive. So when you go there, when you developed like physically, and after when you go to Super League, it's a bit easier. You just have to learn, like develop your rugby brain in Super League.
Yeah, really interesting. And obviously that's where you learned your trade and you got your move to Catalans Dragons. Tell us about that transition from Toulouse to Catalan and then going on to make your debut for the Dragons.
So it was quite a really smooth transition because after my second season in Championship, at the time the Catalan coach was Trent Robinson, and Trent Robinson has a big attach with Toulouse because he was a player, then he's been a coach, and his wife is French and he's from Toulouse, so he used to come and I played a game with France. It was the equivalent of the England night. We played against Barla. And he was at the game, and after the game, he came and he said, "I think you got a talent to play Super League." Yeah, I didn't really take him seriously, and he said, "I'll keep an eye on you." I was like, "Yeah, okay, no worries." And so I started pre-season with Toulouse, and we used to play a friendly game against Catalan every year. And basically, before the game, I was chatting with Edouard Pellissier, which is my best friend, and all the players. And he came to me, he said, "When I'll do the review, I will do your review as well." So I was like, God, is serious? So like, give me a big motivation before the game to have a big game. And straight after the game, he came speak to me and he like give me some feedback about the game. And he said, I'm gonna follow you during the whole season. And again, I didn't really take him seriously. I was like, the guy is a Super League coach. He won't have time to look at my games. And basically, every home game we were playing, he will be there and he will give me some feedbacks. So I thought it was serious, and that just helped me to get more confident and really like develop my game. And what happened when we came back in the French Championship, I used to again to have this smooth transition from Championship to Super League. I was training during the week with Catalan and going to play with Toulouse in the French division on the weekend. And the French division go from September to May. And so in May, I went into the Catalan squad, and in July, I played my first game against Huddersfield. So that allowed me to have like a full preseason with Catalan Dragons, play with Toulouse during the week, really like keep my development. So when I did my full-time transfer to Catalan, I've been able to play Super League quite quickly.
Looking at your record, mate, 22 games for Catalan, 10 tries, especially as a forward, quite a good record. How did you transition into making it into the full-time rugby league? You mentioned you was training and still with Catalan playing for Toulouse, but when you made them 2 seasons at the Catalan Dragons, playing with the likes of Thomas Boss could have been there, was it like Clint Greenshield, Steve Menzies, people like that? Did you notice I'm playing with some quality players? Because that was kind of the years when there was going through a bit of a transition. They had star players. I remember Damien Blanche on the wing, people like that. But did you think, right, this is definitely a step up from the French Championship and I need to maybe raise my level to go that one step further?
Oh, yeah. I remember the first day I went there, I felt like a kid. I was just like looking everyone up. First of all, Steve Menzies was my idol player as a little boy. So imagine like playing with him. But more importantly, he's the most humble guy I ever met. The guy won everything in the game. He had nothing to prove to anyone. And I remember he took me under his wing. He had lots of like positive comments. Even during training, obviously, it was like 38 at the time. So he wasn't training every time. But he always be behind and give me some tips and like how about my placement, because I was playing back row as well. And after I played loads of games when he was playing on center. So imagine you playing back row, your center Steve Menzies, your game is so much easier. And he wasn't the type of player to say, "Yo, just give me the ball." It was just like, if you feel something, just do it, and I'll be there. And that was just like, and same like playing with a player like Luis Anderson. It was a really great player, back rower. So honestly, I had and Trent Robinson. absolutely great coach, really tough coach, really demanding. But I feel like every day I was learning something. So yeah, no, I absolutely love my time over there. But after things happened, I had to leave.
Yeah, I remember Steve Menzies' iconic scrum hat. It was quite, you could see it a mile off. You knew Steve Menzies was playing a great player.
Has he still got the record, Joe, for oldest Super League player?
I think, yeah. Was he 30? He was about 39, wasn't he? And
did Jamie Peacock steal that?
Oh, when he made his few appearances for the Robins.
Yeah, I'm just trying. I can't think off the top of my head.
Yeah, try and find out, Chris, as we move on to obviously the move to Hull Kingston Rovers, Kev. So initially, take it back, it's 2012, coming into the 2013 going into the 2014 season. Who gave you the call? Craig Sandercock was in charge of the Robins. We'd made signings. Ben Cockayne had come back, Jamie Langley, Justin Paul. You came in as, being honest, probably an unknown quantity. You played against Rovers, you'd played in the Super League, but it was quite a surprising signing. How did the loan move in 2014 initially come from you moving from the Catalans Dragons south of France to East Hull?
So that's interesting because I remember Catalan, I was then playing some really good rugby and I really enjoyed my time. I could feel I was really progressing really well. And one day I had the next coach, I had the Toulouse, go in touch with me and say, I've got an agent, he's French, he lives in Australia, and he wants to get in touch with you because apparently there's a club in Super League that are interested with you. So I was like, wow, that's a bit weird, but I was like, yeah, whatever, if you want. So this guy was actually French, an agent in Australia, he doesn't do it anymore, but he got in touch with me and he said, listen, I've got Hull Kingston Rovers that are interested in you. So I was like, first I was like, nah, you're joking. I was like, no. I spoke to the coach, Craig Sandercock, and he's a fan of you. So I was like, well, okay. And he said he wants to call you, and I was like, yeah, he can, but I don't speak English, so it will be hard. So we had the Skype call with him, and who become my first agent because they didn't have an agent before that. And basically, we're like, I want you. I want you. I know you still got 2 years on your contract, but he said, I want you. So I was like, right, okay. And this happened when I remember Catalan signed Elliot Whitehead. And so there has been a big conflict over there with the coach at the time because I thought after Louis Anderson injury, I'll have a decent shot. And which I did, but after obviously Elliot signed, and I wasn't really playing much when he signed. And I had, okay, now I've got this club and I have got this coach who every week used to contact me to tell me like he wanted me and stuff like that. So my head got turned, to be fair. And I remember we played Catalan against RKR in Toulouse in June, and I had a really good game. I remember I had a really, really good game, and after the week after, he called me and said, I really want you. I will do whatever I want you. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'm fine with that. So trying to get it sorted with Catalan. So they came in an agreement with a loan. So how this came about, and at the time I've been selected to play in the World Cup. So basically, before we played the Papua New Guinea in Hull, he came to pick me up. And he took me to Craven Park and he introduced me to every single person at the stadium. So that really sold it to me. I was like, well, this coach really showed me that he wants me. And at the time, it was really important. And I think as every rugby player will say that, or elite athlete, you need to feel wanted and desire to be able to give your best as well. So yeah, it was a no-brainer. So this is how my time came to LKR. And at first I was meant to stay 1 year, and I loved it that much. And I stayed 3 years. So no, it was that's my move to KR happened.
Yeah, do you remember much about your debut, Kev? Because I mean, I don't know about you, Joe. It was when we played Leeds, first game of the season. I think there was nearly 12,000 there.
Was it like 40-36 or something?
It finished. It was what was it? 34-6. It was.
34 points. Oh yeah, we got hammered, didn't we?
Yeah. But I mean, I just remember that because there was obviously some big signings in the summer, and obviously, there's starting to get a real buzz around Craven Park about what the season might might hold. And obviously for you, Kev, you know, going from Toulouse to Catalan and then making your debut for Rose in front of such a big, you know, passionate crowd. Although it was a defeat, it must have been quite a special moment for you.
So for me, my debut wasn't Leeds. It was the friendly game against FC. Sorry,
an even bigger game.
So I remember, obviously, I used to just watch derbies when I was like in France. So from my TV, and I was like, God, those games are absolutely violent. It's something else. And I remember when I was at the World Cup, I met a guy called Rob. He's a big FC fan. And he knew one of the French players in the squad. And he said, when you come to Hull, let me know and I'll help you out with things. And to be honest, as much as an FC fan, it's been a massive help for me in my integration in England. And I remember he said, be ready, because even if it's a friendly game, there will be a big attendance. And I was like, yeah, okay, friendly game. Yeah, we'll see. And I remember we came off a warm-up, and on the Rovers path, it were full. The corner were absolutely full. I remember having like goosebumps, and it was like, God, I was like, honestly, I was like, there I am. This is what I've been working and dreaming about, playing those kind of games. Because when you play for Toulouse or Catalan, the atmosphere is nowhere near. So coming from this type of experiences and you go into a derby is a massive jump. And I remember as soon as the warmers started singing all the way through the game, and that was just an amazing experience. And after, coming towards the first game of the season, I remember they were like, even if I couldn't really understand English, but I could feel there were a big expectation from the fans from the city behind us. And like you say, I think it was a breaking record at the time, this first game against Leeds. We didn't start it the right foot, but I really enjoyed my first game at Craven Park. And even still now, for me, and I don't care because I've been lucky, I played in lots of different venues, and the play Craven Park is something special, is really special.
Yeah, I was just going to mention it there, mate. And obviously, my next question was about the derby, but obviously that was a friendly derby that we just spoke about. The competitive one on Good Friday, it was actually the Thursday, the 1918 last-minute drop goal from Craig Hall. A topsy-turvy game. You scored in it, that famous celebration when you do the clap to the north stand. 2 quick-fire tries from Graham Horn. I remember that east stand when Craig got the drop goal, literally going from one side to the other. What was that like playing? Because obviously the friendlies are great, you know, it's at KC, the atmosphere because of the way the stadium's shaped. But that Craven Park derby in 2014, and probably the Magic Weekend one in Man City's ground as well, just absolutely fantastic. And I think that your team in 2014, it was we wanted it to be like a new era. And even though we'd missed out the playoffs, there was some really memorable games that year. I remember the Warrington away victory when Mick Wayman scored two derby victories, a win against Saints. How was your first year at Hull Kingston Rovers? Because obviously you saw a transition in coaching. Craig Sandercock, who was such a fan of you, got you over to East Hull. When he was sacked, obviously we know there was mixed emotions. We know he had certain relationships with certain players. How was you when the news broke out to you that that guy who wanted you was sacked and maybe a new guy was coming in who didn't really see you in the picture? Was that a bit scary for you? Because obviously it was your first year and you've got your coach has been sacked already.
So just to go back on the first derby of that game, it was absolutely amazing because I had a French TV channel who followed me the whole week, building up toward the derby game. And I remember one time I was in Costa with my friend Rob, and a guy came and started shouting because he was hungry. And my friend is an FC fan. He said, "You'll be shit."
He probably wouldn't have been able to afford the Costa, mate. That's why he was probably shouting and a bit angry at you.
Honestly, it was like proper shanty. And my friend say "You're absolutely dog shit and you're going to lose this weekend, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, wow, okay. And I used to live in BC building at the time, so Ryan Centre Town. And every time I would be in town, I could see FC or KR jerseys. And same, I remember going to Tesco and the woman at the desk said, "You're going to win this weekend, eh?" So everywhere I would go, it was like people talking about it. And I was like, God, I just can't wait. And when we played that game, I've been lucky, score a try. Another one I've been disallowed. And honestly, it was just I remember I was crying of happiness at the end of the game because I was like, as a rugby league player, this is what you want to play for, this kind of games. And like you say, when Gregor put the drop goal, it was just absolutely mental. It was honestly, it was a feeling I'll never forget. And every time I see like videos and stuff like that of this game, I really got goosebumps. It was just, like I said, the atmosphere was absolutely special. It was brilliant. And the game we played, I remember the Magic weekend, same again. We won that game. And I remember Travis Burns was my halfback. He was telling me plays. I couldn't hear a thing because honestly, the atmosphere, the noise, it was something else. I couldn't hear a thing. And yeah, again, we got the victory. And I remember having Neil O'Dell come in the bus at the end. It was tonight, everything is on me. Coming back in Hull. And I remember it felt like we won the Super League. Fans were absolutely crazy.
I think, sorry, Kev, I was just going to say, I think that's the only derby, obviously due to COVID, that I think I've missed, Chris, because you know why? It was the FA Cup final, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah,
it was.
I was at Hull City and Arsenal at Wembley, so I've obviously watched the game back, and what a game that was the derby. In my head, I was like, I can't believe I'm missing Rovers put one over on Hull FC, mate. But yeah, a famous day for Hull. Obviously, at least one team won that day, Kev.
Yeah, no, it was great. It was brilliant. Then after coming back to Sandy, I remember I got injured against Castleford for maybe 4 or 5 weeks, something like that. And I was about to come back against St. Helens. And Sandy called me to say to me that he's not going to be there anymore. So it was a shock because for the first time, I played under coach when I really felt valued. And he really, honestly, Sandy did stuff to me that nobody else did for me. So, for example, like my first day I moved to England, he came personally to pick me up at the airport, took me back to Hull. I remember we couldn't speak English, so in the car was quite silent. So we're trying to like do Lego with the language, but it was absolutely massive. And I remember he paid my rent for the first 5 months I was in Hull just to allow me to settle. And wow. Honestly, it's been absolutely brilliant with me, really like helped me to develop. And I really felt honestly that on the pitch, I was starting to playing like quite well. I was starting really to progress. And this injury came at a bad moment really when I felt really confident. And for me, it was like a dad really to me. Like he was really like helping me. And so yeah, when he left, it was loads of question mark. I was like, what am I going to do? Am I going to stay here? And at the time they were talk about, because he was like, I want you to stay for a long time, because him as well, he was meant to resign under the contract. And so it was loads of question mark. And when Chris Chester jumped in, which was the assistant coach at the time, he reassured me straight away. It was like, everything that Sandy think, I think the same. And as long as I'll be at the club, you'll be my back row. So for me, it was a no-brainer. I wanted to stay here. I love the club. The fan been really welcoming with me. The club's done so much for me to adapt to my life in England. And really, I felt like home. That's why I lived 7 years in Hull. So that's for a reason. I really feel like it was home to me. And I'll never forget, even if I started Super League with Catalan, is the club who allowed me to be an established Super League player.
Yeah, I was just going to say there, Joe, I think that's why we love doing these heritage casts, Kev, because, you know, things like that, what you just said about Sandercock paying your rent and stuff, you know, fans, we would never know that anything like that. And I think as supporters, you know, you get a perception of a player or a coach, and you don't always get the full facts of what that person's like. And it's really interesting being able to do this heritage cast because you get a different perspective on people and what they're about and what they've done for others. And probably the same as you as a player, you know, you might have an opinion of a coach because of how he's treated you, whereas another player will have a totally different opinion from their experience.
His opinion is just down to me, but I could see the way he was with the player. He's a type of coach who is quite close to the player. He wants to. I remember the second week I was in Hull. He came to my flat to see if everything was okay, and I bought McDonald's, and he told me off like a dad would tell his son. He told me off. He was like, "That's not good." This, and it was crazy. And even the first night when I arrived and heard his wife had bought some weekly shopping for me. So honestly, he really took in consideration that I was moving away from my country in a different language, a different environment, and he made, and the club as well made everything they could to make me feel welcome.
Yeah, no, it's really interesting, and we'll go on to 2015 soon, but just that debut, Chris Chester's debut as coach. I mean, what a win against St Helens that was.
Yeah, I remember coming back from injury as well. I remember this try from Maricaro, absolutely beautiful try, and yes, that was perfect for him to start. And Sammy was just following path of Sandy. I quite like player the Chelsea as well. So it was a good time as well. Even we were really disappointed because we didn't got the playoffs. That's what we were aiming for at the beginning of the season. But I think we tried to build up on that going towards 2015.
Yeah, I think, again, so similar to the one we did last week, mate, is with James Green, speaking about the transitions between the similar periods of time. Going into 2015, you mentioned Albert Kelly earlier, Terry Campese, Ken Seo, Josh Mantellato, but a big, what we really hadn't discussed with anyone, and what I think was a pivotal moment in Hull Kingston Rovers 2015 was Mick Wayman's retirement. Obviously, Mick Wayman, a legend of the NRL, you know, his bald head steaming through the line. You played with him in 2014. I really thought if we could have kept Mick in 2015, obviously he played the Derby friendly. I think he played the other friendly as well. I can't remember who it was against. But that must have been sad, especially a forward who you worked so closely with over the past year, would sign some great players, but probably your first choice prop forward in pre-season has to retire. That must have been a blow for you and the guys.
Yeah, that was a massive loss, to be fair. But during all pre-season, he was struggling. He wasn't really training much because of his knee. But like you said, like in 2014, he had the great. I think he scored 7 tries. I think for a prop, that's quite a lot. So we were, and like you said, like in 2015, there were loads of good signings. And Albert Kelly was one of them. Josh as well was absolutely brilliant. So, and obviously, like we were hoping, like a player like a big woman who had a big influence in our pack. So losing a player like that, it was going to be difficult. But despite that, I think if you step apart, the Challenge Cup run was absolutely amazing. We'll talk about probably later. But I think our problem was against the team on our level, we will underperform. But against the top team, we will show up. I think at home, we beat everyone. We beat
Wigan, Warrington, Saints, Hull.
But after next game, we'll play Wakefield, below us the table, and we lost. It was just weird. It was like we'll turn up just for big games. And another good signing that year was Kieran Dixon. I remember this game against Warrington. It was absolutely awesome. I think it was a great signing for us. But yeah, I think this season 2015, it was a great season.
Yeah. So obviously, Kev, you signed for Rovers on initially a loan deal. Talk us through coming to the end of that season and what discussions you was having about either going back to Catalan or staying on at Rovers.
So to be honest with you, like since the first year, so they extended the loan for another season. But I already knew past that was in the contract. I would do a second year on loan. Will go towards the end of my contract with Catalan because the last 2 years of my contract I did on loan care, and from that I would sign a 3-year deal. It's just been announced later. But me, it was a no-brainer. I was seeing myself since the first year. I was like playing my first game, then I was like, this is where I want to be. And obviously, Craig Sandercock was really showing me he wanted that, so they were in talk. And obviously, when he left, but Chasey had the same talk, so it happened. So me, I wasn't really bothered because I knew this is where I would be. It's been announced. I wish it had been announced before, because I remember in the second part of the season, I used to speak to Chasey. I was like, I'm sure you want me for next year. I was nervous that I wouldn't be here the following season. It was like, no, don't worry. Just they will announce soon. So it happened the last game of the season, but for me, it was a no-brainer. I knew I wanted to stay. Chasey wanted me to stay. everyone wanted me to stay, so we were all on the same page. So after, unfortunately, 2016 didn't really go to plan personally and team wise, which have left me with some regrets. But otherwise, 2015 I think it was a great. For me, it was a great experience. Like, I achieved my dream as a little boy, playing in the grand final and playing at Wembley. Obviously, for the club, tell me if I'm wrong, but it was 35 years they haven't been to this final stage. I could see the build-up. It has been all the way through this Challenge Cup run, and I remember, from the semi-final we won in Leeds against Warrington. It was 3 weeks before the final, and you could see every day people were just talking about that. And I remember the send-off. I remember going. It was our last training session before we go to London, and my little brother came from France, and so finished the training, go upstairs to go see him, and he was like, "Go see the car park. Have you seen?" I was like, "No, what do you mean?" And going in the car park, it was absolutely full of people, and I was like, "Wow, what's that?" And they was here. They all come to say goodbye, and honestly, all the way through to the Humber Bridge, it was full of people with red and white flags, and that was just amazing. This.
Yeah, I mean, we know about that Challenge Cup run. We know the victory against Wigan at Lee, fantastic. The Catalans game, 2 massive games, obviously in a semi in the final. Just speak to us, mate. We've had opinions off Josh Mantellato, James Green, who've played in them games, and we're going to ask you the same question. That Challenge Cup, that South Stand semi-final at Leeds, probably one of the best atmospheres I've seen, and I've been to games with 90,000 football fans there, and now it's compared to that game. But also speak to us about the final, because we know what's happened. We've put salt on our wound. We can't go back. Tell us about that week, because when we spoke to Josh Mantellato, he said the preparation was great up until the week of Wembley. He said nothing really went well. The training sessions, the ground you was training on, and ultimately because the momentum of the fans, the build-up, it kind of got a little bit too much, didn't it? But that semi-final, what a fantastic achievement and what a game. I bet you'll remember that for a long, long time, Kev.
Oh, yeah. And luckily enough, I scored as well, so we should make it even more special. But I remember it was just amazing. But when you talk about atmosphere, I remember when we beat Wigan in Lee, and it was the week after we got hammered 60-0 somewhere in Wigan, and they were really cocky in the press, saying that if they had to put 100 on us, they would do it because they would respect us and blah 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 blah. And I remember all week Terry Campese was really building all of us, saying, "Guys, we have to turn up." And honestly, this game, we really hammered them. It was a great game. And I remember the atmosphere after the game from the Rovers fan who came, it was amazing. But this atmosphere in Leeds in the semi-final, even after the game, we just don't want to come back in the changing room, because it felt like we wanted this moment to last forever. I remember after the game, we went into a pub in Headingley. We stopped. They were full of Rovers fans. And honestly, this is where I understood what it means for a guy from Hull to be a Rovers fan. I remember I was seeing people crying, all dinners, and obviously, me for a long time, I was like, I'm just a rugby player. But this is where I realized we are more than rugby players. We are a part of those people's lives. That's what they live for. And I remember the first day Sandy took me to the club. He said, people here spend their money on the freeway. They buy milk, bread, and season tickets. And that makes sense. And I remember that would stay in my mind forever. It was this guy, a certain age, crying, and he was telling me, "Oh, thank you." And I was like, "Yeah, no, it's fine." And he was like, "No, if you don't get it," he's like, 35 years ago, my dad took me to Wembley, and he's passed away. He was passed away now. And he said, "Because of you, I'll obviously the team, but he said, because of you, I'll be able now to take my daughter, who is going to live in Australia in September, and because of you, I'll be able to take her to Wembley." And he was absolutely bursting into tears, him and his daughter, sorry. And I was like, wow, that's what it means for these people. And from that, and I get what it means, Josh, we felt like loads of pressure, but from ourselves first, because we I know for me, it was the first time I would play like a game like that. So I remember coming toward the game in those 3 weeks building up, I was having nightmares about one time I was forgetting my boots, my gum shield, or turning up the day after the game and the stadium would be empty. It was really a weird 3 weeks coming up, and I remember I was seeing a counselor, and she was like, give me some breathing technique and sentences to talk to myself to really like allow me to come towards the game in a more calm way. So yeah, it was, and I could say like the week towards the game, it was loads of nerve going around, excitement. There were loads of mixed emotion going around, and yeah, in the sense of like you finish all, but despite all of that, the results, it wasn't acceptable. Really, after that, I really felt ashamed because you can't lose, but lose like that. You couldn't, especially for the fans, what it meant to them. We were not allowed to lose like that. So I'll always remember the run we had, but the final, let's say, we always leave a taste in my mouth, and yeah, is still there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's for me and you, isn't it, Chris?
Yeah, I was going to say, Kev, do you think that the players and the club got caught up in the emotion too much? And you say about the pressure that you put yourself under, that and the pressure you felt going into the final, and for a lot of Rovers fans, it felt like getting to the final was the achievement, whereas actually winning the trophy is the achievement.
Maybe subconsciously it was, because going to the final, I speak to myself there, going to the final, wow, it was amazing. But after I was really motivated because John was playing at the time, as well. And if we had won, we would be the first French player to win a major title. So we're really motivated. And I don't think it's the coach or the club's fault. At the end of the day, it's us who were on the pitch. We had a game plan. We were prepared. We knew what we had to do. We knew which team we're playing at. But again, you can lose, but no by 15-0. That was, I think, on this game, it came down to individual performances. Some players, we haven't delivered what we had delivered in the previous games. And unfortunately, we had, maybe subconsciously, we thought because we had turn up and be successful in all those big games during the season, we maybe thought we were one of these. And no, it didn't happen like that.
Yeah, I think any silver lining, Kev, was probably we came up against the best Super League team of all time. They won the treble that year, Leeds, and you look at Sinfield, Peacock, Burrow, Maguire, Ryan Hall, who's at the Robins now. What a team! You probably, for you guys playing, you watch it back, you look at some of the skills, you look at some of the tries, and that's why they probably went on and had such a successful career, because they did it on the big stage. Was it so tough? It was one of them games where their game plan was just fantastic, wasn't it?
Yeah, and like I said, I remember it came down our individual error. We allowed them
there was a lot.
Their skills and talent. But if we had, first of all, going this arm wrestle, it would have been a different game. But when you don't get into this arm wrestle and you let a team like Leeds gain confidence, and they're too good, and also they're used to play those kind of games, us not so much. So maybe play the part. But again, for me, it came to individual performances. We haven't delivered what we're meant to deliver on the big stage like that.
Yeah. The good news is we get to speak about a little bit something more positive. 2016, so we'll go on to something a little bit more better, Kev. Let's just speak about it, mate. We don't have to talk about individual games, whatever. We've spoke about it before. You know, you look at like the Oldham defeat against the part-time team, the relegation, the £1 million game, injuries, people getting suspended, probably signings not working out. For you, on a personal note, you went from all that heights building up 2014, 2015, and then 2016. For everyone involved in the club, we know where Rovers are now, and that's brilliant. But for that time and that year, it just didn't click, did it? And there was just Rovers, we was really struggling on and off the field. And How was that in the camp? Because it must have been tough for you because everything was so promising. And then in 2016, it was your final season with the Robins. Tell us a little bit about the final few weeks leading up to the £1 million game. And then ultimately why you didn't come into the championship with the Reds. Was there a contract offer? What was the conversations between you and the board as well?
So for me, this 2016, it's been personally, it's been just awful. It's the year I lost the plot. I think I have to start from the beginning. I remember, obviously, we played back in 2015. I was like in the bus, didn't go play for France. And I remember when I was in France, Chris Chester called me and he said, Kev, I'm gonna for next year. You're not gonna have the number 11. You'll have the number 14. And he said, there's no punishment. Is I want to like put you in concurrence and like put you under the corner, see what you made of. And it worked. I came back in preseason a week before I was meant to start, and we all had a strong preseason. Obviously, it was a new management with new people coming in, a new way of doing things. But as a result, I remember we were about to play our first friendly game against Huddersfield, and Chasey took me in the office and he said, I'm really happy you're preseason and you're going to start the season back row. So I was like, great. And first friendly game against Huddersfield, and after 15 minutes, I dislocated my shoulder. So that has been the first knock for me, because you know how preseason is like. It's tough. It's really tough. It's really demanding. And basically, he's been thrown out of the window after 15 minutes. And been told it will be 6 months on the sideline. So from there, this is already starting to struggle my mental health, because I was 26 at the time and it was my first serious injury. I've been looking up before that. I never had a long injury like that, 6 months. And obviously, it was tough because I was at home and normally like people were really checking up on me and stuff like that. So maybe because at the time at the club, it wasn't really going well as well. We didn't start very well this season. But I stayed feeling a bit homesick at the time. And so I went home for a few weeks. And when I came back, basically, Chasey been sacked. And for me, it's been really hard to live, to digest that, because after Sandy, now him leaving, and me still had 5 months injured. So I was like, what was going to happen to me? And it was hard to see the team like underperforming, and you as a player, you were not able to do anything because you were injured. And like you said, at the time I remember one time we had 11 players out of the starting squad. We had 11 players injured. It was crazy, the amount of injury we had. And as a result, we got related on a personal level, and I never really had an occasion really to speak about it, because for a long time I had lots of resentment. It was a bad taste in my mouth for how it happened. But because I remember when I haven't been kept, I read loads of stuff on Twitter. But what is he moaning about? He just need to go and find a job and blah blah. But basically, I lost the plot because it was the accumulation of, it was a build-up. So obviously, injury coming back. I came back 2 weeks before I was meant to come back, because I was a bit pressed to come back. And I remember we were playing Catalan, and the coach at the time told me, "Oh, we really the team missed you. We missed you. I'm sure you'll be good for us." So I was really motivated. And I remember scored a try, set up a try, even if we lost. But on personal level, I was quite happy with myself. So I was expecting the week after to play against Wakefield, and especially knowing that the coach in place said to me that don't be harsh on yourself, and say in the press that it will give me a few weeks to come back to my fitness level. So me, I was like, in my head, I was like, good, I'll have a few weeks to come back. And basically, the day before we play Wakefield, told me that I'm going to play for Newcastle instead. That I needed to work on my combination with the players and blah blah. In my head, I was like, "How this going to help my combination to play if I go play for another team?" But I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." When I played, And I was just keep on and off. I wasn't really part of the team. I really felt like not really felt comfortable. Like if I wasn't wanted anymore, really I had like a decent shot. And honestly, I was trying my hard to come back to be part of the team. And another time I remember we played St. Helens away. I wasn't in the squad, so the first day I do conditioning, and on the game day, all the non-selected guys had to train in the morning. So did another conditioning session. Go back home, get a phone call that I needed to come and play because there were 2 guys being poorly. So me, I was like, it's fine, I'll go and play. So obviously, we lost, and I haven't played my best game really. And same like being told that I look to be flat when I was like, yeah, but I've done a conditioning session before and the day of the game. So what do you expect? So didn't play much again, and again like during the training session I torn my ankle, so I was out for 3-4 weeks. And I remember we're playing in the middle A, we're playing Batley, and on the morning of the game go at the stadium because I was injured, and again were 2 players who got poorly during the night. I think it was George Lawler and Sean Lunt. And they asked me if I would play in a job. And me, I was like, yes, of course I will. Even if I was not struggling to walk, I was like, yes, I will. So come back home to pack my game day stuff and play prop against Batley. But again, didn't really play very well. And same like, so I was really doing everything as I could to get back into the team. And I remember I asked to go on loan. I was like, because I still 2 years on my contract, I was like, I want to go on loan to earn my chance back into the team. And I remember at the time I had a discussion with the director of rugby who said, I've heard you want to leave, and no, you've been really hard on yourself. You're coming back from a long injury. You need to give yourself some credit. Next year we're going to sign a world-class coach. He's going to bring the best of you, blah, blah, blah. And that was basically 2 weeks before the £1 million game. And I was like, but what about if we're going down? And he was like, no, don't worry. You're still playing a big part in the club. Because I remember at the time, my ex-partner used to ask me, say, what about if you go down? And I was like, we're not going to go down. And I remember saying, and even if we go down, I want to stay there. I feel like I have to give back to this club to give me a chance. And even if I get a 50% pay cut, I want to stay there. So basically, didn't play the £1 million game and got relegated. And I remember that Monday for the rest of my life when go in the office, and this time, I've been told there was no contract for me anymore. And for me, it was a shock. It was a shock because it has been a build-up. Like I've done everything I could to try to get back into the team, and just being wiped off like that. It was really hard to take. And I remember coming back home, just bought a house on a Friday, got the key on a Friday, and on the Monday, losing my contract, so no earning anymore. I remember it was just a tough time. And I'll be honest with you, I could see most of the squad getting re-signed. And me, I was like, why? And why not me? And also at the time, my agent was telling me, oh, nobody wants you. Nobody wants you. So just gradually I went down, and that's why I felt depression, because I just felt like, I don't know, just left down. And I didn't understood why majority of squad resigned and not me, not having this chance when I thought in my part I've done everything I could to be part of the team again. So yeah, it was tough. And to be honest with you, for a long time I couldn't watch any KR games or follow it because it was hurting. It was really hurting. And after from that, I had Paul Hatto was conditioner FC at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say you did a trial, didn't you? Did you play a few friendlies for him? Yeah.
It was at the time. I remember I felt really ashamed because obviously in Hull rugby is massive. Yeah. So I had the postman, I had the Sky Sports in my house. They were all like asking me what's going on, and me was making me feel even worse. And it was a tough time. It was a time when I spent that depression where I was that bad that many times I remember driving to the Humber Bridge and stay on the car park and be like, do you know what? I had some really bad fall. I was in a really, really dark place. And I thought that might be an option. Because for me, rugby has been a big part of my life. And at the time, I had nothing else about rugby. So I was like, what was worth? And what really saved me is the fact I had a newborn baby at the time. So every time I had those suicidal thoughts, and I was coming back home and seeing my son, it was like a slap into my face. Now, what are you thinking about? But every time, soon after, the next breath, I will keep coming back in this dark place. So having my agent telling me that nobody wanting me and stay with no club, and really, Arto was the only person who reached out to me, and he said, "Just come." It was the time when teams were coming back to prison. He said, "Just come to my gym, and I'll train you." So I did a pre-season round with him, and in his gym, Motu Tony used to train every day. So he used to see me, and one day pulled me over and I was like, "What's your situation? What are you doing now?" And I said, "I'm looking for a club." And they were like, "Really?" And it was like, we never heard you were available. So that's where I found out that my agent, he hasn't done his job, because all these clubs said they were not interested. FC didn't knew, and to be honest, as much as he heard, but they were the only one who allowed me to have a try.
Yeah.
And playing those 3 friendly games put me back in the shop window, and I had a shot to Castleford. So that's how it came about. And so I always remember at the time my son and Paula Hatto, and obviously Judy Measure, Rugby Cares at the time, the career coach, have been the people who really helped me to overcome this dark place I was.
Did you play in the friendly before Chris asks another question? Did you play against Rovers in that friendly?
No. I played.
Who did you play against? Doncaster, I think the Normans played against Donny.
York, Doncaster, York. Yeah, 2 games I played. Yeah, and after how the loan came, the move came about to Castleford.
Yeah, I mean, it really traumatic time for you, Kev. I mean, it's like me. If I think I've got a job for the next year or 2 years, and then tomorrow someone tells me, "Sorry, mate, no, your contract's ripped up." Well, you still got a mortgage to pay, you still got your bills to pay, you still got food to put on the table, and obviously, playing rugby league, you're in a bit more of a limited market in terms of where you can go out and get employment. And so obviously you've been, it doesn't sound like being treated that well towards the end of the season at Rovers. Take us back, because for me it seemed quite a chaotic period at the club. We had obviously Jamie Peacock deciding to come out of retirement and pull on a share, and nobody envisaged at the start of the season that would be anywhere near a relegation scrap, never mind actually then losing that £1 million game. What was it like around the club at that time? Obviously, you've got your own personal experience of how you was treated, but did you get a feeling of sort of chaos around the club towards the end of the season?
Yeah, it was a weird atmosphere, to be fair. And I felt like we were a team, but we're divided in little groups. That's what we felt at the time. And even like chatting with, for example, Kieran Dixon, who same as well, like he had a brilliant year in 2015, and all of a sudden he couldn't play rugby. It was that in the team we're divided lots of different groups. I don't think nobody were really biting into the new culture that it was trying to be put in place. And I think all those injuries we had, that really cost us a lot, because when you have your main players like Sean Lund, Terry Campese, Albert Kelly injured, it's tough. It's always fine. Even at the time, you had Ken Sio, a fullback that year, all those were injured. So it makes things even harder. And obviously, when you are in a spiral of defeat, it's hard to come out of this. And again, like when we go into this middle eight, I remember like we're seeing Salford, Lee making loads of signings, and us, we didn't make any signings. And I'm within the team, we're like, are we going to make any signing? Because we need some new people, because there's too many injuries. And we had JP who came out of retirement. Unfortunately, didn't really work well for us. It was really weird time. Really weird time, but again, like for me, it's not the club always have been good to me. It was just like few people in there who I think they haven't had a lack of honesty. And for me, again, like I would have faced the consequence of losing my contract if I had a decent shot. And that's why it got bitter, is that I didn't have a decent shot. I think that year I played maybe not even 10 games, I've been injured half of the season and after in and out. So I didn't think I had a right shot. And yeah, all I wanted is to repay back for the faith I had, for the trust that I had in me, and unfortunately I hadn't been able to do it. But otherwise, on the team-wise, it was a really weird atmosphere within the team. It wasn't really with the year, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And despite a few setbacks and your agent not doing his job properly, you picked up a deal at Castleford, ready for the 2017 season.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, I mean, you talked, so openly about your mental health. Obviously, you had some more personal tragedy while at the Castleford Tigers.
Yeah, obviously, when I signed Castleford Tiger, for me, it was a lifeline, but more in terms of I'll be able to provide for my family, because I wasn't earning any money, and mentally I wasn't in the right place. I was really struggling, obviously experiencing depression, and basically after a week I signed for Castleford. I lost my little sister. She took her own life, and that has been the last thing really got me under. And I wasn't really playing much as well. I only played maybe 7 or 8 games with Cas, went along to Bradford. So I think after I left KR, apart last year, I never really go back into a level I was before that, which have been quite frustrated. And again, after Sanford leave, when I thought it would be a new start with like big ambitions. When I signed, it was just before the £1 million game, so I didn't know if I would be in Super League Championship. But despite that, they were like, we want to go back straight away. And again, we missed the playoff for 1 point, and from there, everything collapsed. Like the owner, like pretty much said, we all had to leave, and it all got to be messy and chaotic. And again, for me, it was like a deja vu situation, and I went back into like a dark place. And to be honest with you, after Lee, I just wanted to retire. I had enough. I was really disgusted by the game itself, because I get so much to rugby, and in the space of 18 months, all of this stuff happening. I was like, wow, no, I don't have this in me anymore. And at the time, I had a new agent who's been really great with me, and he convinced me. I had Halifax turning up, and he said, I think you'll be great there. It's a different club. It's a bit like KR. It's like a family club. You have a good, not as good as KR, we had a really good fan base. And so I was like, okay, why not? And I went there, and that's where I decided I was go part-time playing and full-time studying, because for me, I need to think about what's next. Because those two experiences, like going from KR and ended with nothing, and after going to Lee and Sam again, ending up with nothing, that was really a red flag. And I already started university when at the end of 2017, and after I was like, I'm just gonna give my all into uni and full rugby on the second level.
Yeah, perfect. I mean, that's a great place to start. And obviously, we're going to finish talking about Halifax and going into the next season. But let's just speak in detail about what you've just mentioned, Kevin. Obviously, thank you for sharing, obviously, tragic situations, and, thanks for sharing it with us. But how has Rugby League Cares and your battles with mental health, you've done talks, you've helped people, that and university, how has that helped you? Because we get guests on all the time, and I say to people, only 23, but I say to people, if you're young kids playing rugby, get an education, get a trade, because you're not millionaires like these football players. You can't retire when you're 26. How vital is an education and getting something behind Rugby League? But also speak to us about Rugby League Cares, what you do with the organisation, what it does, and how people can get involved and maybe help out or spread awareness.
I think, to me, Rugby League Care have been absolutely awesome with me. It's been a life-saving, because obviously when I lost my contract, I had the player welfare manager who came, and career coach. And the counsellor as well, just to see where I was, but straight away, so I wasn't in the right place. So I started therapy with Sport and Chance on a weekly basis. Then in the meantime, I was seeing this career coach, Julie Miller, who for me, she's like been a mom for me. Really, and I remember the first day we had, it didn't go well because she came and she said, I'm not here to get you back on the pitch. You might never play rugby ever again, but me, I'm here to prepare you in case that happened. So that was like, I don't want you to hear things at the time. No, playing rugby anymore. No. And basically, she's been really resilient and determined with me. And one day she came about, I think you would be good going to university, which I felt like, I think she's off. Because I always thought I wasn't academic enough, I wasn't intelligent, based from past experiences back in France. But basically, she told me I was wrong, especially with the skills that we have as an elite athlete. Because lots of people really downsize what an elite athlete is, but all skills that we develop to be resilient, an elite athlete, like resilience, setting high goals, determination, being able to adapt, self-critique, be coachable. There's loads of things that in the world of work, people are looking for, businesses are looking for. And basically, she demonstrated that all those skills I developed as a rugby player, I could transfer that into my university, and which I did. And 4 years later, I graduated with a first-class degree. But in the meantime, I was keeping my work, obviously, to get better with rugby care. So my therapy, I did it for about maybe 18 months in total, which have been massive to me. And after that, when I recovered, they reached out to me because they had this program ahead of the game was being talked about towards like trying to leave a legacy within young people and raise awareness around mental health. So they asked me if I would be interested to take part into this, and straight away I just felt like I said yes, because I feel like now it was my duty to give back to the community. Also, most of all, is my sister took her own life because she was struggling with her mental health as well, and I haven't been able to help her, unfortunately, because I was in the wrong place myself as well. So for me, also, like the combination of them helping me out and losing my sister through poor mental health, it was a good reason to try to honor our memory in a way and try to help in other people. And most of everything is normalizing discussion about our own mental health, because I think it's getting spoken about. We're moving into the right direction. But again, today I had a workshop in the college, and a little kid say, "Oh, I don't share with my friends because they're going to judge me." So that just tells me a lot that we have a long way to go. We need to start. We need to break all the stigma, because look, all those displays who spoke out recently about the struggles and some big names out there. So it's real. And for me, and I spoke about that in my dissertation as part of my uni, there's a big correlation between the lack of career transition and poor mental health. And me, I speak for myself there. What I struggle massively, it's because when rugby, my contract been taken away, I had nothing left. I had no plan B, basically. And I had no saving, I had nothing. And now I feel if tomorrow I have to stop playing rugby, yeah, it will affect me because it's a big part of my life. But I know I've got a plan B. I've got qualification. I know now I can jump into a job, and because it's not as easy. Like I know a lot of people were saying, "Oh, wait, can you not just go and find a job?" No, it doesn't work like that. It really doesn't work like that. You've been a rugby player. You cannot tomorrow become a bricklayer.
No.
It doesn't work like that. You need to have a qualification. You need to know what you're doing. You can't just jump like that. No, it doesn't work like that. So that's why young players, they really need, I urge them to develop as much as they develop their rugby career, they need to develop their off career, because let's be honest, when you play Super League, apart pre-season, you have loads of time in your hand. I remember when I was a kid, you go training for 8 o'clock, 9:30, you start 8, sorry. And some days when you go towards like second half of the season, you finish is 12, 1 o'clock. got all afternoon to dedicate into your extra outside rugby. So there's no reason why you shouldn't be involved. But again, do they have the aspiration? Are they pushed to try to do something else? I don't know. I know in the charity now, Steve McCormack, Francis Stevenson, who are take on board the player welfare, they're doing a lot. Unfortunately, they don't talk enough about what they're doing. We need more players now who receive help from rugby players who had experienced successful transition to speak out. As much as lots of players speak out about the mental health problem they had, now we need more people to speak out how they successfully transition from rugby to the normal world. Because I know for myself, my university lead baker, they'd be absolutely amazing with me, really understanding of my training commitment. And it's both ways. If you show commitment, they'll help you. So there's help. There's loads of stuff that are possible and are available. But definitely for me, if you want to avoid as a player experiencing like such trauma as a mental problem that can be the result of an injury, deselection, or loss of a contract, if you get your plan B sorted, you might experience, for example, your mental problem will be less than they would be if you had nothing.
Yeah, and the advice that you're offering, Kev, is relevant to everyone, isn't it? It's people in every walk of life, and
yeah, I think, and that's why this charity is like no others. The way, and I don't know if you watched the documentary that have been broken on Sky Sports. Yeah. Having such a high-profile name like Bobby Paul, Paul Wood, Keith Senior, Sean Lund speak openly about the issue. Imagine that in football is now you have Paul Scholes, Ryan Giggs, and talking about the mental health problem is huge. It's a groundbreaking way to talk about mental health. But we have another programs called Offload, which is for men's. So it's like a group of men who come into like Super League venues, so for example, like Warrington or Headingley. And same, you can have Robbie Paul or Keith Senior turning up and giving you a mental fitness workshop around different topics. So it could be, I don't know, positive influences, a positive mindset, a resilience, and give you tools and use our own experiences with our struggle to open discussions. So it's a new way to do things. And what we realize is people that they can see those people, they look on TV and they were the idol, can really openly share about their feelings and the struggle they had. They can relate to what they're going through. And from that, we have lots of positive feedback. It's a great program.
Yeah.
And I lost the track, but is applicable for anyone. Like, for example, today I went to a college, and after I went into a workplace in an engineering company. So now, because especially now after COVID, there's lots of companies realize the need for mental well-being within their employees. So now we go into workplace to deliver this program, and we can see the impact. We have lots of good feedback about it.
Yeah, and the work that you and Rugby League Cares is doing is fantastic, Kevin. And I really hope when you go do these talks that people do take on board what you're saying and put into action, the advice that you're giving them. And we've seen how beneficial Rugby League Cares is with how they've supported Mossy Massoy and obviously Rob Burrows. And, they're just two players. There's lots of players in the game that they've supported. And I'm thinking Rugby League, supporters, we criticise a lot of things that the RFL are involved with, Rugby League in general. But I think this is one thing that we're getting right in the game. And hopefully, hopefully Rugby League Cares won't be needed in the future because we'll all be in a better place mentally and we'll all be talking a lot more. But I think, for the foreseeable future, it's here to stay. And the work that you're doing, Kev, is fantastic. We'll bring it back to on the pitch stuff now. You've started pre-season training with Halifax. How's that going?
I'm blowing up. No, yeah, it's been a tough start. Obviously, Grixie Simon stayed, but is a young coach who is a really high ambition for the club. And now we've got his brother who jumped on board, conditioner, and again, young, hungry. And big ambition. It's been a tough first week, but with the signing we've made, is a promising year that we can expect. But now again, from experiences, when, for example, I was at Chaos and we had some really good signing and we didn't deliver. So now we have to showcase that on the pitch. But I think we have a good opportunity this year to make a statement.
Yeah, we were speaking about before we came live, weren't we, mate? I think one person who you should watch out for Halifax is Lachlan Walmsley. He's the outside backing. Was he from Whitehaven? He's international. I think he's one to watch out for. Obviously, Joe Keys. He's left from Hull Kingston Rovers. You've got Dan Murray, obviously a former Robin. You've signed Carl Wood. So you'll definitely be aiming to that top four. It's quite a competitive league now, and obviously you've represented France on numerous occasions. The World Cup's coming up. Is that the aim? You want a top four playoff push with Fax, and then hopefully represent your country for probably your final World Cup in England? It'll be a great occasion for you. Is that the aim on a personal note?
Oh yeah, me personally, first of all, is to secure a spot in the team, because I'll be honest with you, with the pack we've got, there'll be loads of competition. So
yeah, some good ones.
First of all, I want to make sure I'll be on the starting or at least on the bench. But for me, firstly, is Halifax in my mind. I want to have a big season with Halifax, and from that, I'll be able to dream about playing for France again. But definitely, the World Cup is in the back of my mind. Because it didn't happen this year, but it just pushed, and it will all be down to me. And I think there's a great season, really enjoyable season that is about to start. And first I want to secure a spot with in the team with Halifax, work hard, playing. Replicate what the season I had last year, when for the first time in the long time, for 2015, I haven't had a really consistent season with good performances during pretty much all season. So I'm aiming to replicate that, and as a result, hopefully being in the French squad. But again, there's loads of competition. We've seen loads of young players playing from Catalans this year who are really good, promising. But I'm here to try to ruin the party for them and make a spot for me in the squad.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And do you know what, Kevin? It's just great that it sounds like you're enjoying your rugby league again after a few years probably where you've not enjoyed rugby league. Yeah,
I think you're absolutely right. And I was saying that to my partner last year when I graduated, or even the few months before, I knew I was going to be graduating, and I had my plan be sorted. This year has been just pure pleasure playing. I really enjoy playing, and so now it's like I just play without this worry over my shoulder and what's going to happen if I lose a contract or whatever. Now I just play for the love of the game. I'm 32 now, so my career is more towards the end, and I just want to enjoy the last few years I've got to play, and hopefully if I can achieve something special with Halifax and play in the World Cup, that would be amazing.
Yeah, excellent. So Kev, we're just going to finish off with some quick fire questions about your time at Rovers, and we'll start off with a question that came in from Alfie Such, who was asked about the current Rovers side, and he's asked, in your opinion, who is the best player at Rovers at this minute in time?
I think as a back row, I would say Lynette is absolutely great, really skillful, really good lines. He's a big influence within the pack. So yeah,
I think he models himself on you, Kev.
You've obviously been watching them inside lines, haven't they?
That's it.
From.
I don't know, but no, it's really good for us. For me, as the main player.
Yeah, and we've got a question from Mike, although I think he's logged in on his daughter's YouTube account. But
his granddaughters.
Who's the best player that you played with at Rovers?
What does that one this? Maybe again, because I was on the pitch, I don't know if for the final will be the best player, but I really enjoy playing with Travis Burnley. Obviously, as a back rower, you like when your halfback he loves to defend and he's quite aggressive. I remember he used to talk to me all the time, like making me crazy, but I used to love playing with him. But otherwise, Tim Campese, oh my God, when he was playing, it was just, you could tell he was like an NRL player. Unfortunately, he's been injured a lot with us, but when he was playing, he was absolute class.
Yeah. And who was your toughest opponent?
Gareth Ellis.
Yeah, a lot of people have said
without
that
a
in the
doubt.
past.
Obviously, playing back row, but playing for France against England, and after in the derbies, it was my opposite back row. Oh my God, when he come and tackle you, you feel it.
Yeah, I bet. Final question from me, mate. What's your favourite Rovers game that you played in? What was your best memory in a red and white shirt before we finish up?
I have to say the derby games.
Yeah.
Especially in 2014, but even in 2015 when we won at Casey Stadium, that was a good feeling. That was really sweet.
It was quite an easy game. That the Good Friday one. I remember Dixon going through and getting tripped up and stuff. Yeah.
But the derby game definitely, because it's not just the game itself, but it's the build up the week before, and obviously also like the day after the game, you go in town, you can see all those Rovers jerseys. You don't see any black and white anymore. No. And especially like me living, I used to live in Hazel and Willoughby, which is more like FC part. And obviously the week before, even neighbours will always have a word, and when you win, and they're really quiet. So definitely derby games, and it's mild.
Yeah, I mean, it's great to hear you talk about your time at Rovers so favourably, and obviously, despite having a bit of a sour exit, you're able to have so many happy memories. Obviously, there's people watching the YouTube stream now, and there'll be lots of people listening to the podcast tomorrow when we release it. But if you've got a message to Rovers fans, what would it be?
I would say thanks for everything, because again, like they really welcome me really warmly. I always remember, for me, like Hull has been a big part of my life. My son is born in there. I've become really a man by coming in England, and really I'll be really grateful for that. And obviously, unfortunately, I won't be able to wear the Rovers jersey ever again, but maybe in the future I would love to get back to the club in some way. Obviously now having a small business and a marketing master soon. Hopefully in the future it will be great to get back to the club.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think the academy announced that they're having a player welfare officer as well, Paula Cullen, in the week. So maybe that might work out with Rugby League Cares. That's good, isn't it, for the academy lads to have someone to chat to, especially if they're going through education, becoming teenagers, young men. That's great for them. You must have been happy when Rovers announced that, and hopefully more clubs follow, Kev.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think it's great. We need to look after it's not us, it's too late, but we need to really start with the younger generation. Make them better player, especially mentally.
Yeah, perfect. Kev, it's been great to speak to you, mate. Chris, we love doing these, don't we? Tonight's been no exception. I've really enjoyed it, mate, and you.
Yeah, it's been fantastic, really insightful, and what we try to do with these heritage casts, Kev, is get to know the person, and obviously you've been very generous in some of the stuff you've shared with us. So it's been a really interesting stream, and it's been a really good listen.
No, thank you very much for having me. Really enjoyed it. And I hope the podcast will keep growing. No doubt about that, with the big following within the Rovers fan, and all the best for the season. I'm pretty sure it'll be a good season.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we get to see Fax in the top 4 this year, mate. All the best, and hopefully we'll see you at the back end of the year representing your French national team one more time, mate. So thank you so much, guys. It's been a fantastic episode. Thanks for everyone who's watched on the live stream. Remember, it's also on our normal podcast streams, our outlets from tomorrow morning. And our special guest today has been Kevin Larroyer, who played for the Robins 51 times, scoring 10 tries. This has been the 11th Heritage Cast with me, Joe Appleyard, Chris Johnson and Kev Larroyer. Thanks, boys. We'll speak to you both very, very shortly. Cheers, Kev.
See you. Bye-bye.